Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And today, I would say it's been a crazy day for crypto. We got some inflation numbers which have affected the markets in a positive manner. We saw cryptos dump by 20% in an hour before pumping again about 15% in an hour afterwards. We've seen Luna dump 99% over the day and then recover about 270% or so within an hour as well. It's been a really crazy time. We've had the Coinbase earnings, we have had the inflation numbers. It's been an action-packed day. Having said that, if you're wondering what's going on, it has two or maybe three main parts. One is the UST situation, where UST/Luna was kind of crashing, crumbling down, which caused the market to fumble. Now, two is the, I would say, spiral of bad things happening. The worse that the crypto market is doing, the worse it is bound to get for a short term because people get pessimistic, more people are not in profit anymore, they would rather get rid of it than be involved with it, and the fact that the stock market was dumping pushed these things down. And then number three is potentially the earnings numbers from places like Coinbase, the massive amount of liquidations, which kind of coincide with point number two, and I would say point number three mostly has to do with the fact there was this massive idea that inflation was going to get out of this world. However, it turned out to not be that big of a deal. Regarding the Terra situation, it turned out to not really be what everybody expected. What Do Kwon, basically the guy behind Terra Luna UST, said is they're going to sacrifice Luna for a little bit to hopefully help it out over the longer period of time, look for new funding and doing a lot of things to make things better. But as we've seen as well, there's some speculation out there that Citadel is the bigger party that pushed UST down by basically creating a narrative regarding a lot of negativity, let's just put it like that. And it's hard to find out whether or not this was an orchestrated effort or not, but if I had to make a guess, I would say that it most likely is, because there's some bigger parties who are making a freaking ton of money on this move. And remember, since Luna dumped 99%, anybody who opened a short is in tens or hundreds of thousands worth of percentage profit right now. Regarding inflation, the majority of the people that I've spoken to expected this inflation number to be really crazy this month. But I found an article that also reads that Bitcoin slips to near 28,000 in minutes after US inflation, even though that number was actually rather good. I mean, we got ourselves 8.3% before it was 8.5, so I wouldn't really understand exactly why they would fall rather than go up. And that's why I said in my live stream, most likely the prices are going to start pumping again tomorrow, as very often that's the way that things go. And as of this point, when I checked the prices out a little bit ago, I saw that the stock market actually, at least in these hours, was already doing rather well again, from worse to a little bit better. Whereas I'm expecting, that just because of that specific reason, that it's already starting to kind of kick back in. We got some good numbers, so people are trying to get more positive towards it. But this is like the narrative from before that was being pushed, which what we're seeing prior. I was just noticing that you guys couldn't properly see, but now you can see here over on the right that the stock market is having a little nudge towards the upside yet again. And then in terms of liquidations, it's been bad, but it's not been as bad as I would have expected. I mean, right now the number is hovering at about 850 million, which again is pretty damn severe. Specifically, if you look at some of the bigger ones that have happened, for example, a single one of being $18 million, that means people really got hurt in this one. But I would have expected it to be way worse with Luna crashing as heavily as it did. To be honest with you, I think the Luna number is not so mind-boggling as most people would have expected, and that showcases something. That a lot of people have already lost the money, and already a lot of people are kind of out of their crazy trades, that there's a good chance we're going to slip back up from here on forward. Together with that, I had two main targets that we were looking for. My own target was actually our little demand zone for Bitcoin here, whereas the bottom of that would be about 29 point some thousand. What we're witnessing right now is some price action that we've also seen all the way back in July of 2021, before things started to get really, really good as we corrected all the way towards this lower pace. And remember guys, what we saw at that point as well is some crazy dumps and just downwards momentum, before basically bouncing off of this zone and getting a crazy pump back on, where again it pushed the Bitcoin price towards an all-time high. It is not too crazy to assume that this is the bottom. This is where a lot of the money is going to be grabbed up again. And worst case scenario for the short term would be the 200 EMA on the weekly. Then again, I would like to point out, and I think everybody should accept this as just fact, You never know for sure. And if anybody says this is the bottom, that's the bottom, here's what's going to turn around, they're lying to you because nobody really knows for sure unless they're the ones controlling it, which they wouldn't tell you if that were to be the case. So, never trust that little specific narrative. What we're looking for is the most important target zones. And I would say, purely based upon history, this is a pretty good dip that we've made here. Really, really perfect retest. And it could be that the capitulation is over from here on forward. But I would be prepared for further downside, and so I wouldn't be opening the craziest amount of longs just quite yet. However, like some others have also stated, it would also not be too crazy if this is the last of the big dips in terms of that. Even though it might go to 25,000, who knows? That this is one of the last bigger moves towards the downside before Bitcoin is going to set another higher low. And that I mean in like the macro swing. So if you, for example, look at the monthly chart over on Bitcoin, you basically start to see that every single phase, the lowest point that it hits just keep getting higher and higher and higher. And honestly, whenever I look at Bitcoin on a grander scale, I also keep thinking, yeah, most likely this is again a big dip that we're setting in. But from here on forward, we're most likely going to see a lot more upside yet again. Conclusion, this is a good retest. It can definitely be that the price just turns around from here because we've done it in the past as well. Percentage-wise, the losses that we're getting right here are not actually that bad. It is just a couple of individual things like UST or the fact that we're down like 15% over the day. That's making things feel a little bit heavier. But over monthly periods, this entire month here of decreases has not been too heavy or too bad. Then I should quickly say we are doing a 2500 XRP giveaway right now, and if you want to enter, all you have to do is make sure you press the like button, make sure you are subscribed, and make sure you comment something down below, or just go to the link down below and check out all the different ways in which you can enter. I think it's pretty damn juicy. And a little side note, guys, if you don't have an account for Bybit just quite yet, make sure you check it out, the link down below. It's an exchange I used to trade all the time, but we're going to be doing a couple of really cool things, like doubling people's whole accounts as long as they've made at least one trade. So if you've at least made a trade and you've got yourself an account just now, you're eligible. And that's why I also put in the checkout Bybit exchange right here, because anybody who's making an account like right now has a couple of benefits they might get. So make sure you check it out. A link is down below. Then I think you guys should also be updated on this. The Biden administration proposes changes to the taxation of crypto transactions. So this was actually a little while ago, but just understand here that the speculations and the ideas are still not completely conclusive, meaning people don't really know how crypto is going to be taxed in the US, or what I've seen pretty often here is how a CBDC would come in and change things around. Well, right now, nobody really knows exactly what's going to come. Just be prepared for another wave downwards to eventually come in if the US decides to take a more negative approach. And one thing we're seeing this negative approach come in from is the stablecoin situation right now. All right, so what I'm meaning to say, or what I wanted to quickly say on the kind of like last note or whatever, is we all know about the controversy / the theory of Citadel and Terra, right? I kind of hinted on it in the live stream and at the start of the video here a little bit. What the consequences of that are going to be in the US with their regulation and whatnot, I think Janet Yellen is kind of putting it out there already. All right, she conveniently called for some crypto regulation. Just understand, I believe today was going to be a talk. One of the lawyers we quoted before said today is going to be the talk about stablecoins, but conveniently, she called for crypto regulation following the UST crash. Once more, it was already planned that today was going to be a talk about stablecoins, and it just unfortunately was happening this way, which makes it more convenient for a lot of these big institutions to push the price down just barely before a very important talk was going to be, because this had to be addressed. What if this was an inside job by the US government to force strict stablecoin regulations to open up the possibility for more CBDC control? It's not what it says, but that's my thinking. And honestly, that is something which might not be too far away from the truth. The fact that some bigger players don't really want crypto to thrive as much, and so this crash was forced into it to make sure the US has a ground to stand on by saying, well, UST is supposed to stand a one-on-one with the dollar. Apparently these algorithmic stablecoins are kind of shitty, so let's ban them, or something like, let's make sure they really are properly regulated. Let's look into USDT, let's look into all of them, so this can never happen again, and that is scary. Why? Because if they find out something bad about USDT or they ban it or something along those lines, we've now seen it with UST. Just imagine how bad the crypto market would crash if USDT would actually face this. Oh my days, the crypto market would be in a lot of trouble. UST as of this point doesn't have many pairs. USDT has all the pairs in the world. Whoa. yeah, that could be catastrophic. That could be catastrophic. However, that is it for right now in terms of an update. I think I've covered the most important parts. One thing I think I should tell you is what can save all of this. As I've said over on Twitter, maybe I did, maybe I didn't yet. Maybe I'm going to post it in a little bit from now. I honestly believe that XRP could save the entire crypto market. How? Well, very funny. All it takes is for a lawsuit settlement where the price would most likely start pumping like crazy. And I honestly believe that purely based on that, the market would start pumping already. My thoughts. Don't expect it to happen anytime soon, but I'm thinking if they would get this settlement like anytime soon, most likely the people would go so mental that it would take the entire market with it. In the same sense that Luna took the entire market down, I kind of think XP would take the entire market up. And if you don't think so, let's agree to disagree, because I don't think anybody's going to change my mind on that one. But yeah, another reason as to why I'm hoarding XRP like a freaking madman. Yeah.